Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Skilleducator.HECC. I'm so elated to have you here today to be a part of our panel, our national discussion panel. We have skilled educators and leaders from Arizona to Virginia to Maryland to North Carolina to Florida, and I'm so excited to have you here today. We're going to start out with our introductions first. We're going to start with Dr. Jefferson, starting us off with his name and where he's from, and just give a brief description about himself before we get started.
Good evening, everyone. Jason Jefferson here. I currently am in the state of Maryland. I am a school administrator at an alternative high school inside of Baltimore City. Born and raised in Philadelphia, and I look forward to the discussion this evening.
Great. Welcome, Jason. Thank you for lending us your expertise. All right, next. Dr. Armstead.
Good evening. I'm Stacie Armstead. I'm from the Norfolk, Virginia area where I serve as a school administrator for comprehensive high school. I have 21 years in education. Also, outside of education, I serve as the treasurer for the Norfolk NAACP as well as the youth advisor for the NAACP.
Thank you so much, and welcome to our platform. I appreciate you for lending us your expertise as well. And now we're going to go to Marva from Arizona. And Marva, you are muted.
One more time. All right, can we hear?
Yes.
Here we are. Yes, coming in live from Arizona. It's my pleasure to be on the line with my dear friend, Dr. LaShonda Hampton. I am an educational consultant for the performing arts. I'm an arts advocate, firmly believe in keeping the arts alive and thriving in the schools and in our communities. I am artistic director of Marvelous Productions, over 15 years of educational experience in keeping the arts alive. And so I'm happy to be on the line to contribute whatever I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Marva. She's quite shy. She's also been in the play Medgar Evers Boys as well. She was on television in the screenplay as well. So thank you so much for joining us, Marva. And next we have John from Florida via South Carolina.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jonathan Wideman. I'm a school administrator. I have experience in building schools on the private side, the charter side, as well as working as a county school administrator. I'm excited about this opportunity. Thank you, Ms. Hampton, for inviting me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, John, for your expertise. And then we have Dr. Thurston on the line. Please, you, Dr. Thurston, introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Angel Thurston. I choose to stay in the classroom because I prefer educating and working with our children, as biased as that sounds. I also have we have a company, the Education Collective, that is an advocate for education and education equity for our students. Been in education now 23 years, and that's all I can imagine doing. I'm glad to be here with you guys.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And now we have Miss Red from North Carolina.
All right. I teach at Kingswood Elementary School, which is an alternative school for kindergarten through 5th grade. Well, it's actually K-12. But I teach on the elementary side, and I have experience, about 18 years of experience in education, dealing with special education, and I've been a music teacher, and I've been a home ec teacher. I've been a lot of teachers. But just the thrill of just providing service, helping students. I'm just honored to be on the panel with all these doctors. Heading in that direction, but just to be in the presence of you all is just great. So thank you, LaShonda.
You're welcome, Miss Red. And I'm excited that you're here too to give us your EC content background knowledge, because she is an EC specialist, and so I'm so happy to have her here today. Rebecca Feliciano from Charlotte, North Carolina via Ohio. Please give us an introduction about yourself, please.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Rebecca Feliciano. I have experienced about 9 years in education. I spent 3 to 4 years teaching 6th and 7th grade middle school math. Was a curriculum resource teacher for a while, then a curriculum specialist for a state team for a charter school company, and now I'm currently in a building as the Dean of Academics right now.
And I'm so happy for your promotion. You've done an excellent job, Feliciano. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Ms. Hampton.
You're welcome. And so we're going to just jump right in and talk about the purpose of our platform tonight. It is to provide parents and our viewers with the understanding of what to do during COVID-19. COVID has changed our normal for educating from home, also for socializing on every platform. So we want to go tonight to delve into the topic of what to do and how to do it for parents and make it easy for parents to educate from home and find resources to help them. So tonight, we're going to jump right in with our first presenter and hear from him and get some feedback as well after he presents.
Okay, that's me. Okay, good evening again, everyone. First, I want to start by saying to parents that are going to be watching, the main thing that we do want you to leave from this discussion with is understanding that you are not alone. This is a very difficult time for all of us, especially for individuals who are home and have children and you're juggling work and all of those things. However, in order to honor our 5-minute time limit for this very meaty question that Dr. Hampton has given us, I'm going to try to jump right into it. And I want you to leave with the understanding that you can get through this and you can support your student while you're getting through it. And so to directly respond to the question of how you can support your students with meeting expectations and goals while you're juggling your own home, your own life, and your own situations at work and your own mental well-beings and maintaining your own sanity. The first thing I want you to think about is creating a space within your home that's going to be dedicated to your time of instruction with the students. And that's very important. When I was coming up, we learned something called code switching. And, you could speak a certain way here. And then, when your mom would take you somewhere else, you had to learn to speak a certain way when you were with that group of people. Our students now need to learn location switching. So how do I transition from learning in a K-12 building to now being in the environment where I get to have fun, where I get to watch television, where I get to play video games? And so the first thing a parent needs to do, if at all possible, is to create your own space for learning. And that will assist students in that transition. And when you're creating that space for learning, you have to let your kid know, hey, this is our space where we learn. We don't play video games here. We don't play spades here. We don't do Facebook, Instagram, all of those things. This is where we learn. It's about changing that mindset for you and your child. The next thing, develop a plan in conjunction with your child's teacher. One of the things that we are finding in the district that I currently work in is that we were not accustomed to the amount of communication that needs to go on between home and school. And so now we're having those conversations. And it's like we're having those conversations 24 hours a day. So make sure that you develop a plan in conjunction with the teachers and you ensure that communication is happening as often as possible. Even as an administrator, I get updates on my cell phone right now about kids that are commenting on Google Classroom, kids that are submitting work through Blackboard Collaborate. It has to be that back and forth communication with your child's teacher. And then this goes into into a big issue, into a big area, and that is identifying the resources that you have available to you. Believe it or not, you have tons of resources that are available to you. One thing that I have suggested to all of my parents, and we have a wonderful teacher, Mr. Tiller, you may not see this, but I'm going to shout you out right here. But we have a wonderful teacher who he walked a group of our parents virtually through the resources that the school district has on our website. Many school systems have posted a whole bunch of things online. Oh, parents, get this, you get that. And some of it is information overload. So in order to assist our parents, what we did, our media specialist, he did a webinar with our parents and he walked them through. We recorded it and we were able to send it out on Facebook, on our Twitter page, which I'm still trying to get used to, and on a whole bunch of other things. So that's the things you want to do. Realize the resources that you have for you right there. Seek the support that you need from your child's teacher and their administrator. We're all in a place now where we're working, to be honest, more hours than we did when we were inside of school buildings. And I can tell parents sitting here in my home right now that we want your child to be successful. So reach out to us so that we can support you in that. The second part of the question from Dr. Hampton was, should parents attempt to understand standards and pacing?
Mm-hmm.
Do what you can to support your baby so that he or she can learn. We understand that you did not go to school to be an educator, and we did. We made this wonderful choice, and we would not change it for anything. However, we are here to support you. The one thing that I don't want as a principal is to have my parents sitting home struggling. Okay, well, RL9 says this, and then RIW says that. How do I merge those two? You'll never get started if you do that. So don't sit down and try to understand the standards. Come to us, and we will support you with that. And the last thing, because I know I'm probably at my 5 minutes, so I'm probably going to take for someone else's time. In preparation for this, what I did, I actually reached out to several parents, and it actually opened my eyes into what's going on at home. And, you know, for example, there's a parent in the DC area. He and his wife have two small children. Only one of them is in school, and it's taking both of them to support that 5-year-old child. And so he doesn't have an apparatus in place from his local school that's really supporting him. What I do want to say to parents, especially parents of students with special needs, seek those resources out immediately. There are additional resources that are available with students with special needs in most school systems. While you may not get your one-on-one pair, there probably will be additional resources insofar as a very intimate small group that you can have to support your child. But please, if you do have a child that has special needs, please make sure that you are reaching out and that you are getting the support you need. Sorry if I rambled on, Dr. Hampton.
That's okay. I want to ask you a question. So what do you say about to the parent who has overzealous teachers who are just posting online assignments back to back to back, and the students are feeling overwhelmed and, quite frankly, defeated because they can't keep up with the pacing of the assignments online? What do you say to a parent who is very, very concerned about their student keeping up with the online postings and assignments?
There's nothing wrong with a parent telling the teacher, this is too much for my kid. There's nothing wrong with that. What we want to avoid is a student becoming totally disengaged. And that's one of my biggest fears. Like I said, I work at an alternative high school where the majority of all of our students are under credit and over age. And I don't want my kids to walk away and say, oh, well, this is too much. I can't do it. I'll catch y'all in August. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with saying to your teacher, this is a little bit too much. Here are some of the issues that I'm having with this. Here are some of the issues that my students are having. And I also just want to drop this off right quick. A lot of our students go to intervention courses, and they're struggling readers. And we have to be very cognizant that if you have a struggling reader, he or she cannot sit down for an hour and a half, silently read a text, and then respond to it. They didn't do it in the schoolhouse, and so they're not going to do it in their own house.
Thank you so much for that input. That is very important. And that kind of trickles over to our next segment with Rebecca about the best practices for parents to utilize in the home and ensuring that students are comprehending content and also connecting and applying skills. So Rebecca, take it away. Thank you, Jason.
So it's interesting, as some of the concepts that Jason brought up were some of the concepts that I kind of had within my question. So to piggyback a little bit, he mentioned dedicating a space in the household and developing a plan with a teacher. Well, I had started with making sure that you create a daily schedule.
Yes.
So what does the daily schedule of your scholar look like? They need consistency to make sure that they're following through on what they're doing every day. So first we pick that space in the house. Well, let's set up their schedule for the day to include breakfast and lunch still, break times for a snack, time to step outside and see the sun and breathe away from the work. So what does that daily schedule look like for your scholar at home now in the space of their new learning environment? And I think also making sure that you develop that with the teacher so the teacher knows, well, my child's school day is not going to start until 11 o'clock because that's the time I can help support them in that moment. So communication to say, my scholar's work for the day is not going to be due at, it's not going to turn in at 2, it's going to turn in at 8 because I get home from work at 5 and I need to turn it in at 8. So parents making sure that they continue that conversation flow with their teacher on what the daily schedule now is going to look like for their family, because it's going to be different for everyone in those situations. So that piggybacks on the best practices for the first part of my question. The second part of my question on helping students comprehend those skills and applying them. I think one for parents is just activating prior knowledge for a student. So if they're reading something and they're struggling and they're not understanding it, just kind of opening it up with questions and saying, hey, is there anything that you've learned prior that you can maybe relate this to, so that maybe something you do know and help you comprehend what you might be learning that's new. So opening up the questionings and bringing about the dialogue and the conversation helps students and helps parents understand, well, where does this need to lead to? I also put down summarizing the information. So don't just close for the day, wrap up the day almost just like we would do in a classroom with an exit ticket or a question. Have the parents help their students wrap it up with, what did we cover today? What did we learn today? What can we write down in our notebook that we accomplished today, so that the kids can see those small wins? Because even as adults, we need to see small wins. So do we write down our win for the day, helping our kids write down their win for the day, that they completed a task for the day? And then the last part was the resources. So I had put down using resources. They're all over right now. So many companies are offering free subscriptions, but it has become overload. I do know within our school, we kind of halted on like, don't send anything new because it's too much. So I think finding what's going to work for your scholar is what works for your scholar. And that's okay if it's not everything that the school is applying for. You might find a YouTube video that helped your scholar. You might have found a different website. So use what the school has, but also there's more out there. All you have to do is use Google. And as parents and as a parent going through this, working at home and trying to handle my own child at home, these little steps have definitely helped for me in regards to setting a plan, setting a space, making sure that she had break times, go outside, ask her questions, and just know that you're not going to know everything. I work in education and I still don't know everything. So I've had to Google some assignments for my own child and say, I haven't done that in years. Look. So it's okay to ask for help. I think the biggest thing and the biggest takeaway is communication. Your school, they want to help, so reach out. And if you know anybody who works in education, reach out to them. I've gotten phone calls from people that are not at my school, but I've helped them via a Zoom call. So we're all here and we're all in this together and we're going to get through it.
So thank you, Rebecca. Thank you so much. We talked about those schedules, and sometimes it's more difficult for a parent to understand how to put together a schedule and how to connect those resources. So I wanted to just ask you, how do you connect resources for parents who are having that difficult time and making that connection, Rebecca, to seek that resource? Where should they go outside their school website?
Where should they go besides the school website? I would say, use your social media platforms. Okay. Make a post on Facebook, make a post on Instagram. Somebody across your path will help you. I think sometimes we're afraid to admit, I always say this as adults, that we don't know something. And I feel like when an adult takes a step out to say, I need help, that is a major thing. So I never turn down any question that anybody brings to me, because again, I know for me, that was a huge hurdle 5 years ago. I didn't want to say I didn't know something. So as a parent, it's okay to say you don't know something and ask for the help.
Thank you so much, Feliciano. And talking about help, Stacie, parents need help in organizing their day and getting the schedules together. So I want you to go into how to create a daily schedule, and our schedule is helpful, but also how do we keep those students on schedules that are not willing to be a participant and follow the schedule? Take it away, Stacie, please.
First, before I start, I wanted to share a personal account that actually was sent to me from my best friend who lives across the street from me, and she's a parent in the same school district in which I serve. Her child is in elementary school, and he's also a student with special needs. And I already got her permission to share this with all of you. And so this is what we are really facing. I just wanted to touch bases with this. She wrote to me one day, "This whole process of teaching from home has been frustrating, but today I literally broke down into tears. I'm trying to work and help Jacoby when I can. Jacoby's IEP teacher calmed me down as I could not stop crying. I don't want Jacoby to fall behind. So Jacoby's IEP teacher will set up calls for late evenings when I'm off work to help him. She's going to do videos also to help me. Again, I want to thank you for any help that you can give me, Stacie, during this time of my need and efforts to support my son." And so I wanted to take a moment to share that because already so many of us can connect with that. And as we started this discussion off, Jason did a phenomenal job with bringing out some of the most key points, which was that number one, you have to create a schedule for your kids. You have to create it for yourself for so many different reasons. Just like even when Rebecca was speaking, she was picking up on the same things with that whole creating that daily process for kids is going to look different for everyone. And so this is the time that educators, we need to really support our parents and our community and let them know that it's a process and it's going to take time, and what goes on in your household is totally going to be different from what goes on in other households. And this is what true differentiation is really all about, really hitting home to the key elements of what education is supposed to be designed to do, which is really to support each home the way that we're supposed to. And so a lot of times as educators, we're told that we're not supposed to take the home life in consideration when teaching children. Now, all of a sudden, because we have gone through this pandemic, we have no choice but to look inside the home, because each home came with different situations. And now we have to make it equitable so that kids can even just get the basis of what they need. And so when you ask the question, do kids need a schedule? Absolutely. And so Jason and Rebecca already laid that foundation out. And so what I would like to add to our discussion is how you can get it done. One, you have to bring the kids in, right? And you want to make it exciting for them. So this is the time for parents to really have those positive conversations with their kids, besides for social media, and asking their kids, what is it that you like first? What is it that you really enjoy about school first? And so if they say math, make math only on Mondays and only focus on math on Mondays. Make science on Tuesdays. Make PE on Wednesdays, where there's a day that all they get to do is go on social media and have a good time. And then be able, just like Rebecca said, talk about it. Maybe not summarize it. All of us really don't know how to do that even. That's a skill set we have to learn. But truly in having those conversations with your kids to be able to understand what is it that they really like, what difficulties are they running in with, and what are you running in with? And exactly what's already been said, communicate with your schools. Write down exactly what's going on. And like Rebecca said, be courageous, be brave. Let us know what you don't understand yourself. And just like everyone on the panel, we all come to those points where we realize, hey, this is something new for us. We've all got to reach out exactly what we're doing now. I call LaShonda all the time to find out, what are y'all doing in North Carolina? Because this is what we're doing in Virginia. I have a friend who lives in PG County. I said, well, what are you guys doing? Are you even moving forward to try to, make it so that students are able to get back into the classrooms? And so this is the time where we'll have to have more conversations with parents to really find out what is it that they really need for us to continue to support them while at home, so that we really begin to build a better bridge with our communities. Something else that Dr. Hampton had asked was that, what can you do to encourage that reluctant learner? This is the time you have to make it relatable for the student to really, or the child at home to really get involved in the process. This is the time for the elementary kids that you make, if you don't have a daily schedule, but you just want the child to, as they're eating the box of cereal, have them to look at, well, how many, so what's in a serving? What does the back of the box say? Have them play with the games on the back of the box of the cereal. Have them measure out, well, I want you to measure out a cup of milk today. So you make every part of your experience at home a learning process, and make that a part of their daily learning, so that you can translate that over to what the schools are trying to encourage us to continue to do. And so I hope that has added to our discussion, Dr. Hampton. And those are some of the things to add on to what Jason and Rebecca have already said.
It sure did, and you answered my question that I was going to ask on behalf of a parent that visited the website, and they said, how do you make these activities applicable to the home? How do you make that text to home connection so students can be engaged and willing to participate? And you answered that by saying, make those basic activities like eating cereal, drinking milk, those measures, those cups, everything that you do in the home is a teaching moment. So you answered that really, really efficiently by saying, make the connection. So I thank you for adding that. You added value to our conversation. It's very informational, and I appreciate that. That goes right into LaShonda's piece. I know Jason touched on the EC component a little bit, and you, Stacie, touched on making connections and making things basically make sense to students. So I want to go into LaShonda's piece about the EC component. How do you break those things down, LaShonda, to make sure that our EC students are supported and they have the additional content they need and context they need to move forward with this online learning? It can be very difficult for EC students to log online, to read through the directions, to piece together what is being done instead, to ask of them, how do you support EC students in the home? Because I have one student in particular whom I call every day and have them read out loud a paragraph, and we process through that paragraph together, and then I help them answer that one question. So how do you support EC students throughout this process?
Well, definitely with the communication. Jason started it off with the communication. Our EC staff is only one person, and I do have 2 EC students. So of course, most of all of the assignments are already differentiated because of everything is online. But with my EC students, the teacher and myself and my assistant, we call the students every week to communicate with them to see what they are having difficulty with. And then we talk to the parent as well to see if they need any additional resources that has not been given. Then on Tuesday, I get on Microsoft Teams and invite the students to come in and see me and give their feedback on how they're doing. Now, my EC students actually get on Microsoft Teams with their EC teacher, and they still run those goals while they're on Microsoft Teams. The parents, it was difficult at first because it was a lot of errors as far as logging in. They didn't understand. And then of course, when they saw the standards and the content, it was really over their head. However, the communication between everybody has been consistent. And to piggyback on Rebecca with the scheduling, everyone has a schedule, and those EC students have a specific time that they have to meet with their teacher and have to see what they're going to be doing for the next day.
So how are you for making sure that each student's IEP goals are met? And how is the team dividing up each IEP and each student's needs? How's that been divided up?
Well, with the IEP team, everybody's doing IEP meetings on Microsoft Teams or doing conference calls. So they can still be in compliance with their IEP and running consecutively. Now, as far as things in the future, because right now we're looking to see what it's going to look like for coming. So it looks like that we may not be in school. So there are a few things that's going to have to happen. Definitely an IEP meeting needs to be done. An addendum needs to be done to possibly change the setting from in school and class to home. And definitely try to get the parents. I've suggested to our EC teacher to definitely get it, not only just talking to the parents, but to definitely get with them and possibly do some trainings, some professional development for them, because it can get frustrating, especially when you're dealing with alternative students like I do, who are in the 4th grade, who decide to participate, and some may not participate, but I've decided to, and I've continued giving them the incentives that were already in class to give them a motivational aspect, so they can say, oh, and I've had a couple of students to say, Miss Red, are we still doing that if I'm on blue, you're gonna give me $20? And I say, yes, I am. Well, Miss Red, check already, I'm on blue. I said, I know. So you have to make it engaging for both parent and student. As far as the EC, they're in guidelines right now so far for our school, because they're keeping the communication and they're doing Microsoft Teams, and they're adjusting to their schedules that they've been on consistently. So of course you want to apologize because of the pandemic, but you try to give them support and try to be as encouraging as you can. And our teacher, our EC resource teacher, he's been phenomenal with that aspect, with helping them and helping them understand and being patient. So they can call him anytime, and they call me all the time. So either way, it's been working out pretty well.
Thank you so much. I think the common theme I've been hearing for parents is do not be afraid to ask for help. And also, like Jason and Stacie said, take it one bite at a time, work through one assignment at a time. And if you need help, ask for help, parents. I think it's very important to understand that teachers are going to be teaching. There's so many things that are now eliminated, like behavior problems, phone calls, different committees. Those things have now been divided and kind of get done away with. So we're right now in the phase where teachers are able to just teach. So you may see a lot of assignments being kind of thrown at you over and over again, different weeks, but just making sure that you don't get overwhelmed, that you take time to balance everything in your life, have a schedule, and don't be afraid to ask for help. And I know with the core classes and the EC component already take up a lot of the time, sometimes our PE, our band, our arts, our music, those courses don't get the attention they need. So I wanted Marva to talk to the point of how do we make sure we integrate those elective classes. And Stacie spoke to that as well about the schedule of making each day a specific day. But Marva, how important first are the arts at this time, especially in this pandemic? And then how can parents make sure that they kind of have attention or pay attention to those courses and kind of integrate those into their work schedule and day from learning from home?
I think that's a wonderful question. Thank you so much for asking that. I'm going to stay within my 5 minutes because that's my soapbox. That's what I do. I'm a performing artist. I believe in the arts. I believe in their power to mobilize, to express, to heal, to move agendas forward. It is a true genius and mark of our society. It's where we process and synthesize information so we can learn everything. But once we've learned everything, how does that impact me? What does it mean to me? Well, that's when a song comes out. That's when a poem comes out. That's when dance is expressed. When you're pulling your hair out because this person is trying to tell you you have 5 more assignments due when there were 2 less just the day before, eventually you're going to need to turn on some Donnie McClurkin perhaps, or maybe you're going to need to get on Instagram and look at D Nice's Instagram DJ party. The arts have always been there to help, to heal, to move people forward. And certainly in this time of the pandemic, with everything being out of the norm, lots of emotions are involved. And I'm an arts integration specialist for 5 different schools at this time in about 12 different counties. And what I love to do is to help parents to understand that you don't have to be a performing artist in some sense that you've had a background acting and doing all these things. It's just opening up those avenues for assignments to be done in a performing arts way. So as opposed to having them write papers where you know they've been focusing on sitting down, writing papers for about 3 hours or so to process history, history is a content that lends itself very easily to the performing arts. So now, instead of that, you may have them to write a 2 to 3 minute monologue, which allows them to express the emotions that they're feeling. And as you know, with emotional content, there comes dendrites on that brain. That's where those dendrites are created through emotion. So you're creating some emotional learning with your students, and it doesn't always have to be curriculum driven. It can be a vehicle in which you're able to heal one another together, work with each other together. And so mom is frustrated, you see that you're frustrated, the child sees that you're frustrated. There's an opportunity for you to create a play together, to create a poem together, to maybe create a workout video. So I believe the point was brought up several times from our professors and professionals on the line that you just need to take every moment and utilize it as a teaching moment. And so when you're having that moment of frustration, you know, mom is just tired, I'm feeling a little frustrated. You know, let's talk about this, because I'm sure you're probably feeling frustrated and missing your friends a little bit, or playtime, or the way that days should go. Let's do a little play about that. Maybe you play mom and I'll play you, and know that could be very interesting now. But there's certainly lots of tools and resources out in our community to help you do those type of creative activities. The stars are kind of really, our community has really leaned into this process because we're so beautifully creative. You have stars like Debbie Allen, who have the Debbie Allen Dance Academy in LA, who've been gracious enough to open up their dance studios so that you can partake of free dance classes through her dance academy. You have stars such as LeVar Burton from Reading Rainbow, who are deciding to get other movie stars to read to our students. So just really utilizing Facebook Live. There's a lot of people who are going live, and you can see performances. If you're checking out your local libraries online, they're also making their archives available to families so that you can watch movies and plays. So there's really so many tools now with things being virtual to pull those arts in. It's not a frill. It's not something additional, because I think that you will find it will serve 2 purposes. It will expose them to the beauty and the connectivity of art, but it will also be a stress healing and holistic wellness approach to education. I'm gonna stop right there.
That was so comprehensive. I love the part where you said we are healing together. I love that part, because throughout this entire process, this entire pandemic, I think that we've spent so much time at moving and doing, and not enough time at being still and knowing and healing together. It's very important. We have spent so much time just doing and moving, and not just being still and balancing. So that was very important. And the arts can do that for us as a team of educators and leaders, our parents and our students. And that kind of goes into John Wideman's part about social emotional learning and finding that balance in academics and at home to heal and grow together. John, take it away. Thank you so much, Marva.
First, I want to say definitely all the presenters before me, great information you guys are sharing. I'm over here definitely with notes and taking stuff back that I can use at my school with parents and teachers and students. But first, before I even go into it, I just want to take a moment of silence for those that have been impacted by COVID-19. So we're going to take about 30 seconds just to recognize those individuals. It might be us, it might be our students, it might be our faculty and staff, but just 30 seconds, a moment of silence to just remember those that have been impacted by COVID-19. Thank you for that moment of silence. Again, I think it's important because when we talk about the social emotional learning, we understand that COVID-19 definitely impacted all those areas, the social, the emotional and the mental state of our students first, our parents, our faculty and staff. A lot of them are going through various things. But first and foremost, we talk about social emotional learning, or SEL. What is it? It is a process of developing and using skills, attitude, and knowledge to help youth and adults identify and regulate emotions, develop positive relationships, as well as make responsible decisions. In the SEL curriculum program, they develop these 5 skills: self-awareness. Right now, it's so important that individuals recognize their own feelings, their interests, their strengths, and their limitations. And that's so important, especially for parents that's dealing with their kids, to recognize when their kids are tired, to recognize when their kids are angry. It's so much that's going on, and a lot of times we don't give our students, or parents don't give their kids the opportunity to identify, recognize how they feel about something. They were thrusted into the situation without a notice, and it was overnight, and we expect them to be okay with it. And that's, of course, this conversation that need to be had. So the first one was definitely self-awareness. Secondly, is self-management and emotion regulations. That's where individuals learn to regulate emotions and manage daily stressors. Of course, having to do this online thing is a daily stressor for a lot of people, parents as well as students. A lot of them, teachers want them to do their full daily schedule, which is impossible. We're just, the resources that we have, it's not possible for a kid to go through 7 classes. So first, recognizing those daily stressors, and also just being able to understand to regulate those emotions. Again, I feel angry. And then too, we look at news that's in front of kids on social media, so that they're able to regulate how they feel when they see stories, such as the Ahmaud Arbery situation. How do they feel about it? A lot of them, do they feel angry about it? Do they feel sad? So what can they do instead of going to fight, going to kill somebody? We offer different alternatives. Like, you might start a campaign for social injustice, or you might write a song or music about injustice that we're facing. You might create some art to help somebody. So again, recognizing those emotions and finding ways to positively deal with those emotions instead of going to the negative side. Secondly, we have relationship and social skills. And that's just dealing with the pro-social behaviors online, offline, in person, and making sure we connect them with the right people, building the right relationships, and understanding that those connections, they connect us, again, to our personal lives right now. And what we do on social media, it definitely has an influence on our personal life. So making sure that we understand that we want to be seen in a positive light, because sometimes our reputation on social media get to places before we do. And that's what we need young people to understand during this time. Yes, they might be angry. Yes, they might be feeling frustrated, alone. But sometimes they get on social media and they vent and do stuff that can have consequences on their future self. So we need to make sure we're educating students and family members how to be positive online. And sometimes venting online is not our best solution. So just having those conversations again with the students, with the family members, to make sure that they're being mindful of what they put out there, because again, your social media is your reputation. And then the next one would be definitely to help social awareness, helping individuals to understand different perspectives. And appreciate similarities and the differences. And I just had a discussion with Ms. Hampton before we got on. Just like, we're in a time right now where everything offends everybody. So we need to understand to take people's perspectives. Sometimes they challenge us. We're so rooted in what we believe in. We need to be challenging some of our beliefs. Honestly, some stuff is wrong. I grew up in the church, and I just use the church for example. And some of that stuff is traditionalism. It's laws that people made. And of course, we're still practicing those laws and mandates that have nothing to do with God. So being open. Nowadays, like I said, people get offended about everything. But with social awareness, it's teaching kids to understand there are different perspectives. That's what makes us unique. That's what makes us individuals. And it's great to have different perspectives. To challenge us. I'm an educator at heart, and I love when people challenge my thinking. It opens me up. It allows me to have a growth mindset and to overcome obstacles. And then the next one is responsible decision making. It's simply empowering individuals to make ethical decisions and strengthen their ability to develop appropriate solutions to identify problems. A lot of times we want to complain, but we need to start looking for solutions instead of complaining. And then two, we have to understand that our decisions should be ethical, they should be logical, and they should be based on valid sources. A lot of times we read one article on social media, we get enraged. We don't even look at the date. We don't look at the whole article. We just see a headline and we immediately go off. But we need to look deeper into the resource and not only look at one perspective, because nowadays media is biased. It's propaganda. So look at multiple resources, get the facts, and make your own opinions before you comment on something, before you get into something. And me and Ms. Hampton, again, was talking a lot of times, people post a snippet on social media and we go to comment and we get engaged in that and we don't even know the whole story. And if we knew the whole story, our response probably would have been different. And I'll just say some stuff that parents can do right now. Of course, there are a ton of resources out there on social emotional learning. If you Google it, YouTube it, it'll pop up so many different things. But first and foremost, use your school. The school has the guidance counselors, the social workers, the mental health therapists. I know in Florida, after the school shooting in South Florida, it was mandated by law that every school have a mental health therapist at the school. So that's a person that's contracted, confidential, that they will meet with the students. So that's a free resource. And then, of course, there are so many curriculum resources that the school have. If not, some resources that I like definitely is everify.com. It's SEL curriculum for middle school, high school, elementary. They also have NoBarriersUSA.com, which again, they give free curriculum videos. And what I like about that one, videos that challenge students. Like it's black and white. They might challenge you on how you feel about black and white. That's a great resource. And then I like emotional ABCs for the elementary kids, but of course it can be used with older kids as well. But again, it's so much information that's out there. Just Google it again, reach out to your school. And then I'm gonna talk about some things that you can do now to help with your SEL, your social emotional. Number one, show people you care. That's simple. We all can show people we care, but show people they have value and input. Two, be open-minded. A lot of times we're closed. We start a conversation, we already closed-minded when we start the conversation, especially on race and politics nowadays. We're so closed-minded and we quickly get offended, but be open-minded. They might actually say something that's worth you hearing. Definitely research. Number one, definitely research. Again, like I said, nowadays we have a lot of information at our fingertips with our phone. Just Google, research, pay attention to signs and emotional and social distress. If you see stuff going on with your kids, even when we're teachers, when they see it in the classroom, speak on it and reach out to somebody to get those help. You see kids, they wear long sleeves, they might be cutting themselves, or you see kids being withdrawn. So pay attention to those kids that are engaged in social media 24/7, isolated, withdrawn from everybody, don't want to speak. Those are signs that something could be going on. So pay attention to those signs. Definitely take time for yourself. That's so important that we don't do it. As educators, we're always working, and now work has come into our personal lives and our household. So separate it, take time for yourself, even if it's an hour. Take time for yourself where you're not answering emails, where you're not responding to people or doing anything but doing stuff for yourself. During this time, express your feelings. Allow kids to express their feelings. I was talking to a parent and their kid had a breakdown because they missed their friends. And that's, allow them to express it, allow them to cry, allow them to get it out. Even adults, I had to talk to faculty and staff members who had meltdowns because they, again, withdrawn and they live by themselves and they look forward to going to interact with people. Definitely use social media in a positive manner to connect and engage others. Share resources that you come across with. A lot of times we want to keep resources to ourselves, but share those resources with people. Network and share those resources. Definitely go for a walk to clear your mind, do some exercises. Things are starting to open back up, but I don't recommend everybody just going out there now, but definitely do some things like walk around the park, your neighborhood, but be careful. Interact with others and don't isolate yourself. I think that's the most important thing. You're not in this alone. Parents, you're not in this alone. Don't isolate yourself. Network with other parents, network with the teachers or community members. Journal. During this time, a lot of writing to get those thoughts out and start your creative juices. We talked about the arts because I do believe a lot of that, it's outlets that our kids need. And I'm for the arts, and I've seen kids produce great and wonderful things via the art. So definitely, I love that aspect of it. And then engage in meaningful conversation. Have these panel discussions, but have these conversations at home around the dinner table. Let's get back to the dinner table where we're talking to our kids, where we're understanding what's going on, and nobody has the cell phones. So let's put the cell phone down and interact in person. We miss so much. Connect in person. That's so meaningful connections. And then just the last one, reach out to others and remember that you are not alone. Sorry, I just get real passionate after about it. Probably went over about 5 minutes. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much, John. I appreciate that thorough explanation of STL. We value you. The one thing I wanted to point out was you said, show that you care. And a lot of times when parents come into our buildings or come around to meetings, a lot of our parents don't have the tools that we have to communicate and express themselves. So it may not come out as positively as we would like. So showing that we care, that we understand is the most important thing we can do, and help them also connect with resources. And Dr. Thurston will go ahead and start with the resources and showing that we care and connecting in the community.
Okay, guys, I'm so glad to be amongst you all. So she sent me the question, what if parents need support with resources to maintain the home or well-being of families, what are the resources? And for me, I've always been a community teacher. So I always reach out to the community. So, you know, the government is handing folks money, but they don't know how to use it. So we need to teach those skills. We need to teach explicit skills to parents and grandparents, because we can't expect them to do what we do. So what I usually do, or what I've been doing, I did a couple drive-through classes, but I got the community centers to let me come in, and I saw kids and parents 2 at a time for the last couple weeks, and been able to go over those things to see where they are, because not only are parents overwhelmed, I'm overwhelmed. My day starts at 5, and I move so much that at 7, I can't always go back and say what I've done. I have notes, but they're all over the place. And as Dr. Hampton can tell you, like I sent her a secret message. I said, you know, this hour of being still I make my face itch, my eyes itch. You know, I said, so imagine being a kid and we want you to do 7 classes of work and you ain't even got no friends. Or imagine, we don't have the equity. We have 1 computer and 7 kids. So this year has been a real challenge, because I've worked with I'm in Virginia, in Southern Virginia. And the one thing our district kept saying was, we number 132. Well, if you tell me we number 132 out of 132 districts, why I need to do anything else? We already there. It doesn't sound like we can come up. So I go do home visits. I do those things. But the one thing I do offer, like, is I had a parent who didn't know how to make her son wash dishes. Let me show you. I went to her house, I unplugged the TV, I took his cell phone. We washed dishes, we mopped the floor, we cleaned the counter. I had to go step by step. So now that I can't go into everybody's house, and I'm not going to, we have to say, hey, we have to go back to a community system. So my neighbor is super organized and can plant anything in her yard and it grow. I put it in my yard, it die. So I get her to come over, sprinkle whatever she do on it so it'll flower, and then she tell me don't mess with it. So we look at those people. Like, I have a parent, and I never thought about it. I always think I'm organized, but I'm really not. I have a parent, and she used to cuss me out all the time. And I said, you know, I don't feel to talk to you because you keep cussing at me. She said, oh, you don't feel? You know, so it was gonna go left. I saw it. And I said, you know, let me step back and look at me, because I'm ready to fight you, and because we both tired. So I said, what'd you do all day? You know, because she didn't have a routine. She didn't finish school. She had a baby at 13. And she said, well, I had to go take the social services. I have to do this. She said, I made $1.80 too much, and I lost my benefits. So $1.80, she lost her food stamps, her house, and her daycare for $1.80. So I said, what you good at? She ain't had no idea. Well, I remember in college, I had a kidney transplant. So, you know, I was out of work. I needed food stamps. And I don't know if anybody else has ever tried to apply for services, but they need everything down to the DNA. I never was approved because I never could finish the task. This parent has made a job of social services. So you look at her skill set, she's organized, she pulls things together, she's focused. When I'm off task, she say, hey, or she'll say, get back on the tracks, because I stray. So we're going to have to work on neighborhoods. We have to explain personal safety. We have to use each other's strength. I know we have the schools, but all schools not for all bodies. So, you know, those are skills you have to do, and we have them amongst us. We just have to be willing to share. So we have to be able to foster trust and confidence. We have to be able to organize our resources. We have to be able to encourage and some social support. In my world, it appears that I'm an extrovert, but in real life, I'm an introvert. Peopling takes all of me. So at the end of the day, I'm exhausted of peopling. I don't know, that's not really a verb, but that's what it is. Trying to be positive for everybody, staying encouraged, trying to support people. You know, the children I work with and the families I work with, most of them have not finished high school. So to say you will work with your child on Algebra 2, that's setting everybody up for failure. If I haven't went and shown see what grandma knows, because she did math the long way. Like if you ask me, I can't use a TI-83 or Desmos. I got to do it the long way. So we see what grandma knows. Bunch of stuff I don't know, but I tell you, I don't know. Then we need to look at the health of people. You know, part of that family well-being includes making sure everybody's okay. Everybody has some stability. Everybody has a role in the family. So if you don't know what the family's goals are, you're not able to do. You don't know what to do. So you have to sit that down and foster that. And we have to be okay with mental health. We have to go, these are issues. Because if we don't, we negate the fact that it can be addressed and your greatness will show. Like me, you can see my phone moving, but I am so jittery. I'm sorry, sitting still. When I see kids who look like me, his behaviors, sorry guys, resemble mine, and he's put out of school, it's not because he's not a learner. It's because we haven't set the environment up so he can learn. So we can do that in our communities. I'm a teacher. I don't mind. Kids come over a couple times a week for reading. I don't always feel like little kids because I don't really do elementary, but I listen. Sometimes I make up a story to go with it. I'm not really creative like that. I'm more hands-on so we can build something. And then you have to be open to, I think the one thing I had this lady when I was first starting, she said, I can't tell you nothing I know because then you'll know more than me. And I was like, wow, that's dumb. But she didn't want me to know more. I don't care. I want to be around folks who know more because then I'm still learning. But we don't address children's depression. We even though we're trying to be equitable, we can't be equitable if we don't provide laptops, Wi-Fi, electricity. Because I can have the laptop and internet access, but I ain't got no lights. We can't be equitable when your parent works a 4 to 4 shift and you raising 4 kids under 13. It's nothing we can do. I can't expect you to do school. So again, I'm saying we need to work on building those things in the community. And right now, for me, it's been pretty good. It's been okay. You know, I'm COVID watching like everybody else, but I put faith over fear. So I know these kids need it. My kids have gaps. They're not little gaps, they jumps and leaps. So I can't leave them out there alone, and I can't depend on just Zoom or the phone because on any day that might not be on, that might not be available. So I'll go by and I'll take a bucket of chicken, and then we talk a little bit, kind of see where mom is, where everything is, and go next door, like have people come out. I had a swap meet at a housing project like 2 weeks ago, and everybody came out with we swapped house goods. Well, they didn't even know they were neighbors. Like they had never spoken to each other. So I took some hot dogs. I probably wouldn't eat like regular, but they were good. And we went out there, put them on the grill and went out there and we swapped. I got rid of some dishes and got some napkins, but I also knew who didn't finish school, who needed support with GED, who needed encouragement. for what they wanted to do employment-wise and educationally. I knew those parents more now than I knew before with them coming into the school, even though it's small group. Like they know I'm driving through tomorrow, 1 o'clock. I'm gonna be in this set of apartments. I'm only gonna stay to 1:15, but give me your questions before, so I'm prepared. And I usually have a sticky note for everybody. So we have to let them know that the community is the resource. Because if you get $1 and you can't budget it, you can't budget 100. So we need to teach each other those things, as well as, you know, use what we have in education and those things. But we need to get back to where we're a community of people who take care of each other. Because I remember I call myself skipping school. I'm a storyteller, so I'm sorry, but I call myself skipping school, and I'm doing big things. I'm skipping school, having a good time, gonna have ice cream. But I see my math teacher, Miss Clay. And so Miss Clay skipping school too. So Miss Clay said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Nothing, at a doctor's appointment." Just lying. And she said, "Oh, okay." Well, she called home. And my mama said, she didn't have an appointment today. She should have been on campus. Miss Clay came back to the ice cream place I was at, pulled me to the side. And we ain't had no cell phone. You had to put a cord in that. Pulled me to the side and said, your mama don't know you're not at school. So I got in trouble by Miss Clay. Then I got Miss Inez, the woman sat on the porch across the street. When I got home, she said, "Heard you wasn't in school." Now, how she heard? It's been 30 minutes. "Heard you wasn't in school. Come here." So I had to have her talk. And then the woman the next morning on the bus, because my mom took my car, was like, "You skipped school." That's the only time I ever skipped school. I couldn't understand how I got caught. But by the time I was responsible to everybody in my path, so I didn't have a choice but to learn that skill set. Like if I wasn't clean, nobody talked about me. They pulled me to the side and we talked about explicit hygiene. Like I talk to kids and they don't know how to, like when you ask them, "How do you bathe?" Like I have a boy, I ask every year for some reason because I work mostly with boys, but "How do you bathe?" And they say, where do you start? "Oh, I start with my chest because, I'm getting muscles," because they 9th grade. They think that's impressive. But so then you have to say, "So you wash your butt and then your face." Like,
okay. So what you're basically saying, Dr. Thurston, is us being a community is what's most important. Us coming together and making sure that we all have the pieces we need to be a community to push our students forward, because we want to make sure that our parents know that are watching this, that we care and that we support them. Because our parents are going to be watching from all over the world this particular Zoom session. And want to stay focused on what our topic is as resources and building a community and making sure our parents know that we support them no matter what they're going through. And I think you spoke to that when you said about parents, you going into the community, you're making sure that you're available and accessible to parents despite not being in the four walls of a classroom, but making sure that you stay connected with the community. That's very important. And I think that a lot of our parents lose that connection piece because they're not able to go to the school or drop their students off. The students are not able to go to the school to get a hot meal, breakfast, lunch, or a snack. And so that speaks volumes to what our districts are doing to stay connected to our students. I know that for Forsyth County, Ms. Red can speak to that they are actually having meal drop-offs in meal locations. Ms. Red, can you elaborate on that a little bit, like the meal drop-off?
Yes, I can. Our schools have been designated, several schools have been designated to be meal drop-offs. They drop off meals Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then we also have collaborations with all of the other restaurants that's in Forsyth County. Like for instance, K&W's, they're feeding our children at a specific time. I think it's from 11 to 1 o'clock every day except for Sunday. So they can come and get a hot meal at K&W as well. We have our school buses. They've kept all of our staff working, even down to the janitors. So the janitors and the school buses actually are the ones taking the meals to the homes, like to their stops, their drop-off stops. So that has been very pivotal for our kids to continue to get meals. And we also have our fresh fruit and vegetable truck that circulates throughout the county to give fresh vegetables and fruits to our students. So
And I know that in
has
Norfolk,
done a
Virginia,
great
thank you,
job.
Fred. That's a great job. And I know that in Norfolk, Virginia, Stacie said that they were doing the same thing. Can you speak to that magnitude of what they're doing in Norfolk, Virginia, please, Stacie?
Absolutely. So like Ms. Free was just saying, we offer free lunch Monday through the Sundays for us. Actually, we just started our weekend program. Students and parents get to come up, pick up a bag lunch, and at those site locations to satisfy our community that exactly what Ms. Angel was mentioning about not having electricity and those type of things. We've also created learning in place packets. So parents can also pick up learning packets that we've distributed out, and it's a district-wide learning opportunities. And this is an extension to what teachers may be doing for their students on Zoom or Google Docs, different things like that. But we also offer opportunities for students to be fed during the week.
Okay, and also, Feliciano, do you have any efforts that are being taken in regards to not the district, but I know that you guys are in charter. So what are our public charter schools doing, as Angel said, to stay connected, and as Stacie and Ms. Red said, to also provide support for our students?
Yes, so in the charters, so it is a little bit harder, just straight up honest truth. The cafeteria is not as equipped as the other public schools are in certain charter schools. However, with our community efforts that we've had in already existent in the school, there's certain communities around us that are offering those meals. So like the McDonald's partnership that we have behind our school, that McDonald's is offering lunches. So parents just drive through the drive-through between 11 and 1. So there's certain restaurants that we did reach out to and say, hey, if our scholars need food, are you willing to partner with us? And so we advertised for them. In turn, they allowed us to share out that scholars could drive through certain drive-throughs Monday through Friday.
Is that as well with you as well, Mr. John Wideman? Do you guys, as far as the charter district school there in Florida, do you guys provide meal options for parents, or even community resources to connect them with meals, or either money for light, like Angel said, for like the light bill, the water bill, any of those resources? Do you have those there in Florida?
Yeah, at our school, definitely. We are under the Osceola School District. We have all those resources as well. Our students have access to those food drop-offs. Again, we also have a number 411 that parents can call for resources to help with bills, unemployment benefits. Like, people will guide them to the right places. Community agencies that provide those resources, all they have to do is dial that 411 and it will connect them to somebody on the other end that knows the resources. All they would have to do is explain their issue or their problem. Whether it's, again, I need to stay in a hotel, or I'm transitioning, or I'm trying to get food, a food bank, or I need help paying a bill. They have those resources provided. So we do provide that for our students and families.
Thank you so much. And Jason, I want to speak to you because you're in a bigger city. And I know that our homeless students are students that we often forget about at this time, those who are displaced and families that have to live with other families. So in Maryland, how are we addressing the homelessness issue and providing support for our students and families in that predicament?
So the majority of our homeless students are located either in Baltimore City or Prince George's County. And not to highlight either of those districts in a negative way. I work in one and live in the other one. But that's just the reality of it. They're in complete transparency. We have not done enough to address the needs of that population. We are running full steam just to try to meet the bare minimum needs of students that may have a parent at home. And some students may fall through the cracks and may have already fallen through the cracks. One of the things that we have during the school year, we have tons of partnerships with people. However, I do want to say this, that, it's hard to hold contracts. It's hard to hold people to contracts when there's no one in contract office. And people aren't getting their checks anymore. And if you were due to get a huge check from the school system to support your program in March and you have payroll to make and we didn't send that check because no one's there, that's impacting kids negatively. What I do want to highlight is that a couple folks already said about meeting kids where they are, having partnerships in local places. One thing that I can say in this entire state is that there are drop-off sites, there are feeding sites. I know in Baltimore City, we have feeding sites that go Monday through Friday, and then if you come on Friday, we give you extra food to get through the weekend. Some of our schools in some of our harder hit areas, for example, my school, our food pantry is opening back up. And that's just my school, but there are other schools that are able to have their food pantry open back up because there's a need out there for the kids.
Thank you so much. I want to thank everybody for participating in our discussion panel today. I really value you and your opinions. You have so many different diverse perspectives and skill sets to offer to our parents and students that are viewing this particular Zoom session. But I wanted to close the session by going in reverse order. And starting with Dr. Thurston with just giving your final words. And if you have any type of business that you are working on to support students and families in the community, you can go ahead and give that plug as well. But I want to thank you because each one of you means so much to me, and our parents and students, we need this. Our community oftentimes are misinformed or not informed and not supported. So I thank you for supporting students in charter districts, charter public schools, as well as district schools, because it is us together that can bring our communities together to support our parents. They have to know that we care. They have to feel comfortable to come to us to ask us questions. They have to have the tools to help the students at home. So thank you so much for coming together. I think all together we have maybe over 125 years of experience right here in this Zoom session room in education and leadership. So our parents have the resources right here to move forward with schooling at home and over the summer, and also connecting in the community with resources. So thank you so much for coming together to support our families and our students. I value each of you. Dr. Thurston, go ahead and take it away. Your final words, please.
I lost my train of thought. I was thinking we just need to go out there and encourage the communities to work together and the people to work together. You know, I'll keep going. So I'll go ahead and stop right there. And I have the Education Collective. It's an education advocacy group, and we're in Greensboro, North Carolina. And the phone number is 336-587-4497. In all transparency, I don't remember the website. I still play with paper.
Right, so, thank you. Thank you so much. And Marva, you next. Thank you so much.
Well, first, thank you again for having me on the line. I'm just so glad I had the opportunity to interface with all of these wonderful professionals doing awesome things in our community. And my last word is just to continue to stay up, to continue to thrive, be there for each other, utilize those resources that you can put your hands on. You're never alone, and we're going to get through this.
Thank you so much, Marva. Feliciano.
So I would have to say, first off, thank you. It was a pleasure meeting all of you virtually. Hopefully one day we'll all meet together in a real room and get to talk more. But two main things that I wrote down as like my takeaways is I want parents to continue to feel encouraged to reach out. The first person you reach out to at the school gives you a no or gives you an answer that doesn't sit right with you, reach out to somebody else. Make sure what you're telling us is the truth. As I tell people all the time, please tell me the truth or I'm helping and fixing a lie. So I want to support you in the way that I can, but I need to know the details. So just be honest. Don't feel harmful or embarrassed by your situation. We've all been there. And lastly, following off with like finding your schedule and the social emotional piece that was also talked about here. Finding and taking the time to enjoy something that that brings you joy. I went on a bike ride today and saw this amazing quote in Charlotte that just struck with me, and I feel like it goes perfectly with this. It said, do the things that light you up and everything else will fall in place. And I think that goes for everything we've talked about on this phone call today. So
thank you so much. I appreciate you. Ms. Red?
Well, I'll definitely let the parents know that we're all in this thing together. You're not alone, that we can make it and it's going to get better, but we have to stay positive, open-minded, and we have to trust the process as it is, and that to know that it's going to be to an end soon, but until the end, we can make it.
Mm-hmm. And Jason?
My final comments. First of all, I just want to thank you, LaShonda, and everyone else on the panel. This has really been enriching. You go through so many Zoom meetings that at times you just want to have a conversation with folks, and that's really good right now. But the one thing I do want to leave to parents, remember to hold us, and I say that as a collective, us accountable. We are here to support you, and we don't mind being held accountable.
And Stacie?
Like everyone else, LaShonda, I just want to thank you so much for bringing me and all of us on this journey with you. This has just been such an inspiration for me. A lot of times in education, when you're feeling alone, this has reminded me that there are so many of us out there in so many different regions that are fighting against the same thing. And so I thank all of you for inspiring me this evening. And so something that I have for all of us, and I always have quotes also, and this came from my dad, who has left me last year very quickly in this life, but he used to tell me all the time, he used to say, Stacie, things will change, things must change, for things don't remain the same always. And, you know, he said that as a positive thing, that even though right now everything may look bleak to all of us, but just to know that we're supposed to go through this, and it's going to teach us all something to become stronger and to continue to believe in the jobs that we have chosen, as we've already said. And I just want to thank all of you, and I want to tell the parents and the students to stay encouraged, and we will be here for you till the end.
Thank you so much, Stacie. I love your dad's quote. It speaks volumes to me too. I can really connect with that. John?
First, thank you, Hampton, for inviting me to be a part of this great panel of educators. Definitely, guys, thank you for what you shared. I definitely have so many notes and things that I'm taking back to my school, my faculty and staff. So it's great to be amongst great company in education and know we're not in this alone. And to our parents and all educators, we will get through this. We will go through this storm, and we will get through this. We will make it to the other side. So we're going to come out, as you said, Stacie, brighter, bigger, and better, because that's what we do as educators.
We persevere. Yes, we do. And I want to say thank you to everyone that participated, to our parents and our students who are watching. I want to end with a quote by Helen Keller that says, alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much. And as a team together, we can help our students get through this, our parents get through this. We can help everyone connect and grow and move forward to look forward to after COVID-19. So thank you so much for joining us this evening, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a blessed evening.